And I find it fascinating that this article from Newsweek it's all bright, and the image they show just shows like a nice blue sky, when the reality of these videos is actually horrifying. They say, Shanghai residents scream from windows, get drone lockdown warnings. Check this out. I'm gonna play this. I hope you guys are ready for some creepy sounds, because here we go. Okay, how do I get this to actually play? Well, apparently we can't. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is.
5分钟前头，俺们叫完没几个了，现在突然之间，所有人都叫了，要死。
So there's a lot of people screaming. Here's the crazier video. Check this one out. This one is Shanghai residents go to their balconies to sing and protest lack of supplies. A drone appears saying, please comply with COVID restrictions. Control your soul's desire for freedom. Do not open the window or sing. Yo, that echo is so creepy. So I sent this out to a friend and said, you know, who speaks Mandarin, and they said, yeah, that's what the drone is telling people. Control your soul's desire for freedom. Welcome to the future, my friends. How do you guys feel about it?
Pretty terrified. Pretty terrified. No, I mean, look, I think it's sad. I think what's really striking about this story isn't just it's happening in China. I think it's the fact that even without saying it, there are some number of Americans who would have absolutely no problem with this being the policy in the United States. We've clearly given up any drive to have freedom. And it is sad to say that it looks like there is a real chance the lockdowns could be coming back.
So a couple of years ago, in August of 2020, these videos started going around showing people screaming. When I first saw this video on Twitter, I said somebody got hoaxed. Somebody took an old video and sent it and said, look what's going on in China, and it was a rerun. It was a replay. This person didn't do their due diligence. So I pulled up the old videos. They're different videos. So this is new, and we have multiple sources confirming this, several news outlets reporting on it, and it appears to be true because there's more than just this one video. There's apparently dozens of videos. The creepiest that I have not verified, but there have been reports of people filming taking their lives because there's no food. There's a video of people fighting in a supermarket. All the store shelves are empty. People have taken garbage bags and they filled them with whatever food they can, and they start fighting each other in the stores. I always joke about this with the food shortages. You don't want to be in a Walmart parking lot fighting with Agnes over the last can of beans. And I mean it jokingly, but watching these videos of people in China fighting over food in these supermarkets is scary stuff, man.
I mean, it's reducing people back to a primal state where you got to potentially kill somebody to eat. I mean, it's as primal as you can possibly get, and you ask yourself, well, why would you ever push people to that point? And I think the answer, unfortunately, is that there's really not multiple answers to that. In my opinion, it is a purposeful way to crush people to such a point. You know, nobody can lift their hand up for help unless they're on the ground first. You know, and if the government, if the people in power want to say, come on, grab my hand, we'll save you, you got to put them on their knees before they're going to reach up.
Yeah.
And if that is the definition of putting them on their knees to maybe the ultimate way. And I think it's really a dangerous thing for Americans to say that cannot possibly ever happen in America. Really? Let somebody shut the lights off for 3 months and see what happens in America.
Well, I remember what happened in New York during Sandy. And I'm just going to stress this point, man. We're in rerun season, guys, because these are the same conversations we had back in 2020 with these lockdowns. But I was in New York when Sandy hit, and the power goes out for an extended period of time, and there's people standing outside of bodegas with like clubs and bats. One person allowed in at a time. I walk in the store, and the guy says all of the perishables are spoiled. Don't buy them. The canned stuff and you know the sodas are fine, but they're warm. There was no electricity. So it's like you can get what you get, cash only, obviously.
Here in North Korea, Kim Jong-un rules by starvation. He starves the populace. They have no strength, literally no power, because they don't have any energy, or their lack of energy from lack of food. They're crawling around on the ground looking for food. People die on the side of the road. This is from Yeonmi Park, who escaped. I've listened to her story. Escaped from North Korea. Escaped from that country. Escaped. That's the way they look at it. China, it looks like this could be I mean, do they even care about does the CCP care about those people, or do they want less of them?
Probably.
They had the one-child policy before. They wanted less people that way.
Well, the only thing communists are good at producing is human misery and food shortages.
And then they just sit on top and revel in what they have, the food. Because I'm thinking like, it's Kim Jong-un's got plenty of food. Xi Jinping's got plenty of food right now.
Clearly getting fed. Look at the guy.
They're central planners. Their view of this is we don't care about the individual. We care about the machine. And if that means you've got 1 billion people in China, and they're thinking, this is so expensive and difficult to maintain. There's too many people here. So I'm sure they don't care when they're looking at how can we streamline the machine that is the Chinese Communist Party and this country, the whatever they want to call it. So, the Republic of China, People's Republic of China. If we want to streamline this, okay, we can stand to get rid of excess and then bring specialists in. They don't view the individuals that they starve out. They don't care. They don't think about it.
Yes, and on top of that, it's totally impossible to centrally plan a supply chain like that. You just can't know where resources should be allocated without people being able to engage in free trade. One issue we saw at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns is that even though food production was considered an essential service, which wasn't shut down, there were still food shortages in some areas. We were getting less meat produced because the packaging materials that people used to send their meat to market were considered non-essential. So small details like this are just going to inevitably slip past politicians and the bureaucrats they appoint to centrally plan the economy. So even if they're making a good faith effort to get people fed, they're just not capable of doing so.
Right.
Well, and there are quantifiable facts in this country, in America, that would lead you to believe the only ending, which is there are people that want to see food shortages happen in America. A couple of examples. One, they've been paying farmers for the past 2 or 3 years. I'm from Amarillo, Texas, up in the grain belt, right through the middle of there. They're paying them to literally mow down and bush hog their soybean crops. Don't plant anything this year. Leave it all alone. And they're paying me more money to cut up my soybeans than I would have made on my soybeans. So I'll cut up my soybeans.
FDR did the same
What is that
thing.
called? Fallowing? Fallow?
Why are they doing
call
that?
it? You guys listening know what I'm
Well,
talking about.
they're
Maybe
getting
I got it
government
wrong.
checks to cut them up.
But why would the government be doing that?
Well, so there's I could have the word wrong. So guys, correct me if I'm getting this wrong. I think it's, can you look it up? Fallow?
Yeah.
And the idea is something to do, honestly, I can't remember. But
Well, it blends the nutrients back down into the dirt. Because if you grow something enough times, you take everything out of the dirt, so they'll actually grow a crop and plow it back under.
But we've been seeing some of this for political reasons. Is that what it is?
Yeah, fallow is usually cultivated land that is allowed to lie idle during the growth season.
Right.
Okay, so that's
That's to renutrify the system.
Well, who owns more farmland right now than any other individual?
Bill Gates.
Why is that? What does he know about farming?
Yeah, and it's in the last few years he's been buying it up.
And why did China start buying corn futures like crazy over the past 2 years?
And
Chinese investors.
In the important context, as per Bill Gates, he may own the most as an individual, but it's not that much relative to the grand scheme of total available farmland. So a lot of people assume when they hear that it means like half the country is owned by Bill Gates. No, he owns a very tiny percentage of the total, but he owns more than any other individual, which still, raises the question: why is this guy buying up farmland? What's he looking at in the future for an investment?
What is it about food production that he thinks is going to become particularly lucrative very soon here?
The people need to eat it.
Yeah, people have always needed to eat
that's
food.
A little tongue-in-cheek that there's shortages,
no,
obviously.
exactly.
I think he knew, or at least he saw it ahead. Maybe he just saw it coming and he could read the cards, or maybe he knew. He's very connected. I'm not playing conspiracy here. I don't know.
I think if you've got a bunch of people who, Bill Gates has given speeches on population control, different from reduction, but, I wonder about his thoughts on that. A lot of people speculate, by all means. But control, where he talks about how we need to reduce the amount of people being produced. There's too many. So he's talked. There's that famous TED talk where he was like, we can reduce population growth by 10 or 15%. Now, when you got someone who's coming out and talking like that, why would I trust that guy on health advice?
Right.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to trust you on health advice.
Yeah, if that's his long-term goal, is to have fewer people.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm not saying he wants anybody to die. I'm just saying, I'm not going to take health advice from a guy who sells computers who talks about how there should be less people.
And not just
I'll talk
health
to my
advice.
doctor.
Not just health advice. If you're an individual who doesn't believe that human life is intrinsically valuable for its own sake, I'm not taking your advice on anything. There's no reason to listen to you.
He's like a utilitarian mathematician. I mean, he's like a coding guy, and he's not a He wants to be a Renaissance man, and he's not. I mean, I don't think he is.
Is he really a
I
coding guy?
don't know.
He's a salesman.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows computers.
He basically
I know.
co-opted a bunch of code in the early 80s and then made it private and sold it.
That's right.
He didn't free the code.
He did
No,
not.
he did the opposite. He's the
Exactly.
guy that took Richard Stallman
it.
and a friend's code and made Windows out of it, this proprietary stuff, and then packaged it and
Good businessman.
basically
Good for him.
poisoned the water hole.
And antiviral software, right? That was his thing. You can only sell so many computers, but you can get a lot of viruses out of those computers. So
You know,
we need
I
to get that software going
You wonder
over and over and over.
You wonder why it is that so many computer viruses exist sometimes, because nobody's going to my neighborhood and just randomly attacking people. Not every neighborhood, but we don't see. Maybe it's not as easy to say these days, but you don't see overt political terrorism in the United States to a great degree like you do in other parts of the world. And when you see computers being so often attacked, you have to wonder what the motivation is and why. Why don't people in public engage in the same degree? Maybe it's as simple as they do. The same amount of people commit crimes as make viruses, but viruses can spread more and do more damage, and that's why we see it more often. But it is a lucrative business, so I certainly wonder how many of these companies back in the day, these antivirus companies,
We're making the viruses.
we're like Antifa window repair, like Ryan Long's comedy sketch, where the Antifa guys go around smashing windows and then come back the next day and say,
Right.
window repair.
It's not a new tactic. It's why do you buy a $70,000 pickup that has plastic parts inside the air conditioner, and when it goes out after 30,000 miles, it costs $1,800 for somebody to take the dashboard apart and fix the $5 plastic part. They know it's going to wear out, and they know you're going to have to come in and get it fixed, and they keep more and more money coming out of your pocket. That's the oldest trick in the book. Sell somebody something that looks great, but it has some kind of flaw that they're going to have to get it fixed. Oh, by the way, we're the only ones that can fix it, or it voids your warranty.
That's a busted system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah,
And
it's disordered.
Yeah. And what we hear is, that's capitalism. So often what the left says. And I look at it this like, if you want to believe that capitalism can be idealistic, feel free to believe that it's not true. You're going to find people who sell snake oil.
Yeah, the slave trade was capitalist too.
Right. There's bad things. So, when I hear people say laissez-faire capitalism, free markets are better and all that, I'm like, I don't agree. I agree a freer market is better, but I don't think.
Well, that's the thing about the free market. They call it a quote free market, but that doesn't mean anything about what they say. It's just a name. It's like when they say, here, let's have the Happy Kids bill that Congress wants to pass about like punishing a bunch of kids. It's free trade is not like anyone can do whatever they want. It's heavily regulated. Only certain people can do it.
No, but I'm talking
it's
about a true
complicated
laissez-faire
because-
free market where, buyer beware, caveat emptor. People are. There's a lot of good arguments I've heard about how competition will solve a lot of these issues. But you also will get planned obsolescence. The counter argument to that is, well, then the company that makes the better light bulb that lasts forever will sell more. But then my argument to that is, what if one person discovers the creation, invents the light bulb, and then they're making it, and other people haven't figured it out for 10 years, so they create planned obsolescence. And what's to say that the other companies don't just say, well, why would I step on the toes of a guy who's figured out how to get people to buy light bulbs nonstop?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they just say, I'm going to do his same business and just lie to customers and say it's better?
Well,
Yeah. Oh, no, you go.
Now, what do you think Big Pharma is? I mean, healthy patients don't make them any money, and dead patients don't make them any money. But patients that we're keeping alive make a lot of money.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.